What if I told you a small block V8 was so strong that racing officials tried to push it out of competition entirely? That was the fate of Dodge's 360 Magnum, an engine so torque-heavy and efficient, it disrupted classes built around bigger, flashier rivals. In an era still recovering from the muscle car downturn, Dodge quietly built a 360 that ignored peak horsepower hype and focused on raw, usable torque. It was simple, durable, and dangerously effective. This is the untold story of the 360 Magnum, the small block that became so capable it was restricted, sidelined, and in some cases, outright banned. Enter the 360 Magnum, the quiet heavy hitter. The 360 debuted in the early 1970s as part of Chrysler's LA small block family. But the engine's true legacy didn't begin until the 1990s, when Chrysler reinvented it into the 5.9 Magnum. The transformation was not cosmetic. Engineers reworked the cylinder heads, combustion chambers, intake manifold, camshaft, ignition system, and fueling strategy. High swirl heads improved mixture motion. Roller lifters reduced friction and expanded tuning headroom. Sequential multi-port fuel injection delivered accuracy and consistency unheard of in earlier small blocks. The result was a torque-rich, rock-solid V8 that delivered immediate punch at low and mid RPM, while remaining simple enough to maintain and rugged enough to survive abuse. Whether in a Ram 1500, a Dakota RT, a Durango, or a full-size van, the 360 Magnum earned a reputation for stump-pulling strength and long-term durability. It wasn't a dyno queen. It wasn't designed for magazine covers or bragging rights. It was built to haul, tow, work, and deliver everyday power in the real world. And that unpretentious competence is exactly what made it dangerous once racers discovered what it could do. Torque that made rule makers nervous. The secret wasn't high RPM horsepower. It was torque. The 360 Magnum produced around 345 pound-feet in stock form. But racers quickly learned that its head design, port velocity, and combustion efficiency allowed it to pick up enormous gains with very simple upgrades. Unlike many small blocks that needed high-compression big cams and extensive headwork to wake up, the Magnum responded explosively to mild tuning. A cam, headers, timing tweaks, and carb or EFI tuning routinely pushed it into performance territory reserved for larger engines. Short-track racers noticed, dirt-track builders noticed, sanctioning bodies definitely noticed. By the mid-1990s, regional NASCAR series, independent mental capacity advocate, circle track organizations, and dozens of local racing boards had begun quietly inserting rules that limited the 360 Magnum's heads, intake combinations, or entire engine assemblies. They didn't want to admit it directly, but the issue was obvious. The Magnum delivered big block-style grunt from a small block footprint, and it did it cheaply. In classes meant to keep engine costs low and competition tight, the Magnum's natural torque advantage meant Chevy and Ford racers would be forced to spend significantly more to keep up. Rule makers wanted parity. The 360 Magnum offered dominance. Why the Magnum layout created real-world advantages. High-velocity heads. Magnum heads didn't have massive ports. They were built for efficiency, not size. Their high-swirl combustion chambers and short-turn geometry created excellent mixture motion, translating into crisp throttle response and torque-heavy acceleration, especially off-idle. While Chevy 350s and Ford 351s often needed heavy porting or aftermarket heads to match this efficiency, the Magnum delivered it straight from the factory. Roller valve train and better breathing. The factory roller cam meant stability, reduced friction, and increased durability. Combined with the Magnum's revised valve train geometry, the engine breathed cleaner and faster. Even modest lift figures produced impressive airflow. Where older, small blocks needed aggressive camshafts to unlock mid-range performance, the Magnum achieved a broad torque band with far less effort. Built-in durability. The bottom end of the 360 Magnum was classic Chrysler. Thick walls, sturdy bearings, and proven architecture. It tolerated repeated high-load cycles, aggressive timing, hotter cam profiles, and extended race conditions. In the world of grassroots motorsports, reliability is performance. An engine that makes power cheaply and stays alive while doing it inevitably becomes the unfair choice. A small block that behaved like a big block. On paper, the 360 Magnum was just another small block. In practice, it behaved like something much larger. Off corners, especially on short dirt or asphalt tracks, Dodge racers consistently reported immediate launch power. The torque arrived early and stayed flat across the rev range, giving cars a mechanical advantage in acceleration zones where races are often won or lost. Where Ford and Chevy engines needed RPM to access their power band, the Magnum delivered its punch everywhere. That meant easier throttle control, more consistent traction, and fewer tuning compromises. In a sport where tiny advantages shape rule books, the Magnum created a gap too big to ignore. Why it was restricted, limited, or banned? Racing officials introduced a collection of rules specifically crafted to blunt the Magnum's strengths. Magnum heads were banned outright in many classes, forcing Dodge racers to run older LA heads that flowed worse. Compression ratios were restricted only to Magnum blocks, limiting torque output. Some open classes allowed only Chevy or Ford heads, excluding Dodge without explicitly naming it. In the most blatant cases, displacement caps or handicaps were written to disadvantage Dodge entries uniquely. Rarely did the rules say, the 360 Magnum is too good, but racers knew exactly what was happening. The engine delivered more usable torque per dollar than any comparable small block, and that meant racers running other brands would need to spend more to keep up. To avoid escalating costs, sanctioning bodies chose to restrict the engine instead of letting competition escalate. And this didn't happen only in oval racing. Off-road organizations and pulling leagues implemented similar limitations because the Magnum's torque curve created measurable, repeatable advantages in real work environments. The real reason behind the ban: economics, not drama. The 360 Magnum wasn't banned because it was unbeatable. It was banned because it was too cost-effective. Racing organizations want tight competition without forcing teams to overspend. When the engine offers a cheaper path to more torque, the entire class risks becoming a one-brand show. Officials knew that if the Magnum were left unrestricted, Chevy and Ford competitors would have to invest significantly more in aftermarket heads, stroker kits, carburation, and machine work just to stay competitive. The Magnum changed the economics of winning, not just the performance metrics, and for rule makers, that was enough reason to push it aside. How the 360 Magnum redefined expectations. The 360 Magnum proved a crucial lesson. Horsepower figures don't tell the whole story. Torque curves, airflow efficiency, combustion behavior, and part longevity play a far bigger role in real-world performance. The Magnum excelled where it mattered most. It delivered usable torque for trucks, strong mid-range punch for racers without costly mods, and reliability under stress that competing engines struggled to match. Without being exotic, oversized, or overstated, the 360 Magnum became a benchmark for what a well-engineered small block could achieve. The hidden legacy: why it faded quietly. As emissions regulations tightened and fuel economy standards rose sharply in the early 2000s, Dodge transitioned toward the new Hemi architecture. The 360 Magnum, old school in design and heavy in displacement, didn't fit the future. It was retired quietly, replaced by engines that used more modern combustion and airflow strategies. But the Magnum's legacy remained. It influenced how modern manufacturers think about torque delivery, port efficiency, and power band usability. Today's engines, from turbo V6s to advanced V8s, embody the same philosophy the Magnum proved decades earlier. Power isn't just about the peak number. It's about how the engine performs everywhere else. The final word: when an engine is too good for the rule book. So the next time someone dismisses the Dodge 360 Magnum as just another small block, remind them of the truth. This was an engine that got banned, restricted, and regulated out of entire classes because it offered too much performance for too little money. It made the torque that other engines had to work for. It excelled in real-world power. It stayed reliable under conditions that punished its rivals. And it did all of it with smart engineering rather than brute displacement. Sometimes dominance doesn't come from cubic inches. Sometimes it comes from doing the fundamentals better. And that is the untold story of Dodge's 360 Magnum ban. That wraps for today's video. Now I want to hear from you. Was the 360 Magnum restricted for fairness, or was it punished for being too capable? If Dodge brought back a modern 5.9 Magnum today, would it still have the edge over Ford and GM? And what forgotten engine should we uncover next? If you enjoyed this deep dive, hit like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss another hidden chapter of automotive history. Your support keeps this channel alive.